All right. Fans all over from within the league, spectators, either have friends, family, sons, fathers. Welcome. This is the cool down lap, a little different voice. This is Justin Thaler, driver of the number two in all three of our series. I'm joined by actually quite a handful of special guests tonight. So, as always, we have James with us here. How you doing, James?
Good evening, everybody. I'm great. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well, Justin.
Yeah, I'm doing well, doing well. We had a little hiatus here. We've had a lot of things going on. Life's gotten the best of not one but a multitude of us, which happens quite frequently. As much as we love this hobby, we have commitments and things outside of this that unfortunately have to take precedence more often. Probably we'd all probably rather be turning laps and hanging out and talking cars, racing, sports, and just kind of hanging out like a bunch of dudes usually do. But that's okay. We're back, and tell you what, do you want to announce kind of the special episode we got going tonight?
Man, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Justin. Tonight is a very special episode. As you know, the road season number 8, finished last week with a great finale at Coda. And tonight we are joined by the champions, the new first ever not the first ever multi-class racing, but the first ever GT3, GT4 multi-class racing at Midwest Motorsports. We are joined tonight by Shay McNeely, your GT3 champion, and Chet Miller, the GT4 champion. Shay, congratulations on your GT3 win, man. Thanks for joining us tonight. How you feeling?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Straight from class and study hall, right?
Oh yeah, it's been a it's been a long day.
How quick did you fill out the test tonight, just to make sure you could join us here?
You know, I I got a 2-hour exam done in 5 minutes.
Well, I mean that's about as fast as you are on track, so I'm not surprised to be honest.
Oh,
Right.
don't blow my head up too big.
And yeah, Chet Miller joins us too, the GT4 champ. That was a really close fight. Also, Chet, thanks again for joining us on really short notice. Hope your Monday has gone pretty well.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. Thanks for having me.
Right on. Well, man, only 10 races this season. I say only. Um, that was that a decent length of a season for you guys. Do you like the longer season or coming into the season? What were your thoughts? I'll let you go first, Shay.
I mean, it works out to a little bit more than 10 weeks of racing between, we had a couple breaks here and there. I actually enjoyed it a good bit.
Chet?
I loved it. It was my first season doing the road series stuff, so I don't really have anything to compare it to, but it felt like a pretty good length, and I had fun all throughout. So
Okay, tell me this
Yeah.
is just your first road season with Midwest Motorsports, not the first time you've ever jumped in a road car, right?
it's kind of the first time I've ran the GT4 cars. I ran a lot of Formula open wheelers before, and then right before I saw this season was gonna be starting up, had recently started GT4, so probably only had been running it for maybe a month or so, and then jumped in it and figured I'd give it a shot.
How did you uh how did you like the GT4? Were you um I mean, hell, it didn't matter who you were, I guess, considering damn near the whole GT4 field was all McLarens, but were you set on the McLaren coming in, or like did you do some testing um you know prior to it to figure out like, I like this car, but maybe the track layouts suit this car overall better, or was it just I like the McLaren, I figured it out and this is what I'm running?
It was pretty much I like the McLaren. I figured it out. This is what I'm running. It was just the first one I tried, and I was like, well, I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm just gonna stick to kind of what I've gotten used to. So yeah.
Well, you sure figured it out. So overall, you had 5 wins, 7 top fives, 8 top tens. Looks like the one thing that eluded you was some pole positions. From looking at the stats, it didn't appear you had any, unless I'm wrong. But I was looking through the stats of through the series final standings. Um, was there any? I mean, obviously it worked out pretty well. You won half of the races, so that's a 50% is a pretty good rate. Was that something you were kind of like didn't really sweat going into each week? Was like your qualifying strategy where you're not really worried about pole as long as you're kind of up towards the front of the field?
Yeah, I pretty much just focused on trying to get as close to it as possible. I did end up I had one pole position, but it was one of my drop races. Um, I
Ah,
I got pole and then I immediately spun on the first lap and it didn't matter and I that was a rough race. It was Imola, I believe. So, but I
yeah.
I had a lot of troubles with getting my best lap in qualifying. So I just kind of always wanted to make sure I was as close to the front as possible, but for some reason anytime I felt pretty good, someone just put in a crazy lap, out of nowhere and beat me, and it just was like, "Oh, well, 2nd place again or 3rd place again, I'll just get him in the race," and I always ended up getting quicker in the race, I felt, so it worked out fine for me.
So one of the guys, maybe you just kind of felt like, maybe you were chasing somebody, just made you faster and faster. So it really wasn't like you set your mind out there, oh, I want to get, pole and lead all of the laps and everything else.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Are you, um, what's the story with, so there's two McLarens that look quite familiar. What's the, is it, Jason Geyer?
Yeah. Yep.
So you guys are the Bucky boys, or like what's the backstory behind all that?
To be honest, there's not much of a backstory on much of what's on the car. We kinda just threw random things on there, but, we're, just really good friends, and we got into racing together and have been doing it all together, so we just were like, "Hey, let's try and throw a livery together and see what we can do." So we just threw a bunch of random stuff on the car and made them look kinda similar and just had a fun time doing that.
Right on. Okay, I can get behind that because I wasn't completely sure because I was like until I figured out, I guess truly which one was like the aqua blue versus the papaya orange. It's it because I would pass one. I'm like, wait, I thought this guy was like blue this week, and then it's like maybe you come through traffic again. It's like, wait, is the color changing somehow? Like how is this working? And then by like week two, I figured it out, right?
Yeah.
It's not the same person or anything, but um, that's pretty cool. So I guess, do you have any league experience prior to this, or whether it be you run an open wheel in a different league, or is this kind of your first league that you've ever kind of jumped into?
Um, this is really the first league I jumped into. I ran a series of oval racing. I ran the trucks for a season last year at
Hmm.
some point, and
Hmm.
had fun time doing that. And then I saw that I had kind of took a little bit of a break from iRacing, and then was getting back into it, which was when I started with the GT4s, and then I saw I saw that you guys were starting up a new season soon with the GT4s and GT3s, and that's what I had the most interest in at the time. I was like, well, I really enjoyed racing with everyone in the oval series. I might as well try out the road series for it. So I just signed up and figured give it a shot and had a blast.
So if nobody was listening, what series do you like better, our oval side or our road side?
Definitely the road side. The oval side was fun, but
Ooh,
I had to
I
ask, James.
that's a
there's
quick answer too.
I mean, there's a lot of cautions that tend to come out in some of those races when I was running. Sometimes I felt like I was just pacing around for the fun of it. At least the road series, I was driving the whole time at full speed.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's a fair answer, I think. That's a fair
It
answer. But
it might have changed a bit since I ran. I think there's been a season gap since I last ran, so maybe it's cleaned up a bit. But
yeah, I think our
there were some long races. I remember I remember some long ones. I think we did more laps under yellow than we did green. So
well, league wide, depending, regardless of series, we always try and implement new things or try new things, right? Kind of experiment. And
yeah,
our philosophy is, it's almost like a living, breathing thing. You almost have to nurture it and try new things, see what works and doesn't. And I think this year's actually been pretty good oval side. So hopefully, hopefully you can come back either cup or trucks Sunday, Friday nights, whichever you want, and become a multi-series member here. And we got quite a few of those, so it'd be good to have you back. Maybe give it another shot. Next season we got only a couple more weeks left of our oval, and we're gearing up for our next season. So um, stay tuned for those announcements.
Yep.
What were I got a little montage, I guess, of some pictures. I guess what was some of your most memorable or like forgetful? Like, what was a race maybe you were like, oh, I don't even want to think about that one, or what were some great battles, and maybe was there one person you tried to definitely just always outperform week after week?
Um, Definitely the whole season I was trying to outperform Jason. I didn't want him to finish in front of me in a single race. So that was, and then it slowly towards the end, Ian Bakaitis was was giving me quite a battle. So between those two, fighting them all season, and we had quite a few good battles. Laguna Seco was a crazy race coming 3 wide across the line.
Mm.
That was a blast, and yeah, we had some real fun battles in those last couple ones. Virginia was another one that it was an endurance race, and the whole time I either had Ian or Jason like in front of me or right behind me like the entire race. I didn't feel like I had any breathing room. So those were some really fun ones, and I honestly couldn't tell you what happened in either Imola or Monza. I think I just need to stay out of that country because those were two terrible races. They were just abysmal performances by me.
That's awesome, man. Chat. One more question before we go to Shay on the first part of the season. Um, was there anything specific in the first part of the season regarding the multi-class aspect of racing? Have you done any multi-class stuff before, and what was it like being the slower of the two classes, even though you may have been one of the last ones to catch up, or for the traffic that GT3s kind of have already gone through the field to get to you as you were running up the front most of the time. But what was the multi-class racing like?
I had a pretty good time throughout the season with multi-class racing. I didn't have too many problems with the GT3s. I felt just kind of tried my best to stick to my line and let them work around me and not get in their way. It was I had done a couple of the like special events. I ran like Daytona 24 last year. I ran a 24-hour race in the GTPs on that, and that I wasn't very good at those, but it was the little bit of experience I had for multi-class, and I just kind of I've watched a lot of the racing, and I've practiced a good amount going into it because I knew that it was coming up, but it was pretty clean for me. I know some people had some tough times with the GT3s, and there was a couple incidents that happened, but I really most of the time I had pretty clean racing whenever the GT3s came around, so it went pretty well for me.
Yeah, I love your response was, I tried to just worry about staying on my line and not, deviating or making myself unpredictable and that's, I've always said it. I've beaten the dead horse, but it takes two to tango. So a GT3 driver, you know, needs to understand, the driving line of the GT4, but the GT4 also, needs to be able to see the predictable move, coming from a GT3.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
So that was kind of one of the questions I was probably going to get to asking you was like, what do you thought about the multi-class and things like that? But James
Too slow.
must have read my mind.
No,
So
that's what happens when you drive a dark horse Mustang.
I'm just
Too
getting old,
slow.
man. Shut up.
I hear you. I have a question for Shay before we get off the first 4 races or so. Shay, you started off the season at Motegi with a pole and a win, and then Zolder was an enduro with a pole and a win. Sounds like a really good start. Um, how did you get your helmet on for that third race at Red Bull Ring? Were you feeling pretty confident at that point?
I may be a little overconfident. I that was one where I did my old classic practice only the first hour before the race, and I don't think it paid off very well.
Red Bull Ring was next, so I can understand that. It's probably got 100 million laps at Red Bull Ring and all different cars. Was there something that stuck out? You qualified third, finished third, which is not terrible, especially at Red Bull Ring with the caliber of drivers in the GT3 class.
It was, uh, I would say that I probably could have done better. Not, I mean, third is still third, but probably could have done a little bit
Yeah.
better. There was definitely tough competition. Johan was always fast there. Almost had Phillips. What actually knocked me back was, I don't know if we ever caught it on stream. I forgot to turn off tire service for my last stop, and it knocked me
Oh,
all the way down.
hmm.
Luckily, that was
Well,
new
you,
tires, so I was able to fight back on that. But
you finished third still. I mean, hell,
Still
I
got
rode around
third.
like 17th all day long.
Love it. Did you have any kerfluffles with GT4 cars, Shay?
I mean, honestly, the whole season was pretty good. I don't think I ever, out of maybe some door banging through a corner, I don't think I ever had any major contact with the GT4 throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I mean,
Nice.
season stats: 3 wins, 4 poles, and look at the eight top fives, 8 top 10s. So I mean, what was your worst finish? Fifth, fourth? Like, I mean, just
It was
completely
fifth in
lights out.
Monza, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I, just always on it. And I, I don't mean any disrespect by my next statement, but the old Shay, because you've been around the block now with us for a while.
Since season 2.
The old Shay would have put it on pole and been lights out for probably 10 to 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you would see Shay McNeely is disconnected from the session.
Yep. It was a tough one. I was not, and you
So,
know what? It all comes back down to I didn't practice. I never practiced.
well, I was gonna say, man, I'm proud because, like, I didn't want to see that, anymore because we know
Yeah.
you're uber fast, talented, and you stuck with it. I mean, you didn't really have horrible races enough, but just glad you've been just glad you've kind of stuck it out. You've been able to finish. I'm just curious, like, did you say something to Brian Coxon? Like, he's kind of been on
Yeah. What's up with
his
that?
own little hiatus for a while. Did you guys get into a fight, or where's he
No, I
been?
think I scared him off. I think I got a little bit too fast. No, I think what actually happened is he's got a couple other leagues he does as well, and I think he got locked into some pretty heavy competition in one of them. I think he's been focusing on that one.
All right, all right. Well, we miss him. We miss him. I know
Oh,
he's around, but we miss him.
he's gonna come back. Don't worry.
I mean, it's a free position for me not having him on the grid because he's always going to beat me. But the more the merrier, and I'm all about that. So I don't think the question needs to be asked. I think your main rival was probably Johan this season. I guess was anybody? I mean, there's hell the top runners in the GT3 class are all just ridiculous in terms of pace and consistency and everything else. I guess, did you have a couple guys on your radar, like, he's going to be good this week, or I got to watch out for this guy here because he's maybe running a car that suits this track better, or is it just it's Shea versus everybody, and which that's fun too, but it's always kind of fun to have that rival. But I mean, I think your rival was kind of predetermined, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it was always a little predetermined. I always did. I mean, there's I would put it as there's rivals and then there's friends that are enemies. And
Sure.
I'd say I had a rival and I had a couple friends that were enemies.
care to elaborate on the names of those, or you just want to leave it at that? Which is cool either way. I'm not
Uh,
trying to like bait you into anything or nothing like
I
that.
mean, Fincher and I, we'd always be out there. Phillips and I, we'd always be out there. We wouldn't be helping each other, but we'd definitely be, giving each other a hard time on track without giving us too much grief.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple shots here on the montage. That would be. Do you know where that is? Where I'm actually next to you without being lapped?
That would be Monza.
That would be Monza. I feel like we had some good battling in Monza
I do.
because I
That
wasn't
was
gonna just give it to you.
that was a tough one. I remember that fondly. It was I've never done well at Monza. For one, the Porsche is also just pretty slow in a straight line.
Yeah.
Uh, but also just that track's always been one that gets away from me.
Ah, it's almost like you get the front and the back stretch, you can breathe, but then you get the technicality of the two chicanes at the opening start of the lap, the Lesmos 1 and 2, and then you kind of have nothing, then you have a Scari, and then it's kind of like
Right.
it's weird flow almost, but I mean I enjoy the track. I guess what was your maybe favorite track on the schedule?
Oh, favorite track. Definitely not Coda. Um, honestly, probably my favorite had to be ironically Motegi. It was a very strong opening that I didn't expect to have, as well as just it was a track I'd never raced on before. Brian actually bought it for me an hour before the race. And I just it's something in that track just clicked and I went off with it.
Trying to remember what week it was where literally like you just bought the track like right before the session. I don't think it
That
was Motegi. It was another one,
let's
I think,
see.
too. Was it Zolder maybe?
Yeah, oh yeah, Zolder as well. Zolder was the same story.
Because it was something like there's in the practice we were like, me and Steve were in the chat and we are like, dude, we're faster than Shay. Like something's not right. Like I can feel there's like a disturbance in the force right now. And then
Yeah.
and then you literally went out and like set like a lap time of like P2. And we were like, oh, never mind. That was the anomaly. But it was just really funny because you just have that.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, do you know the Porsche that well? And then it's just maybe learning the intricacies of like a track if you're not too familiar with the track.
That is honestly what it is. I mean, I run with the Porsche Club of America in their series, so we're running the 911 all the time.
You
And
know.
I mean, even dating back to when it was still the 991 version, so the what is
Mhm.
now the legacy version. I've been running that for almost 5 years now. So it's that setup of, rear engine, it's all somewhat of the similar weight distribution. It's just I know it well, I can drive it. Um it's allowed me to acclimate to new tracks just really, really, really fast. I mean, Coda, I that was a tough one, obviously, but that was one where again, I bought it the night before, uh, put down maybe an hour on it the night of, and then another maybe 2 hours in the practice session I hosted, and it took me about 30 minutes before I could start putting down, something that was resembled a, fast lap.
For sure. Well,
It's,
maybe
it's
next
it's all
season.
about learning it.
Well, since you've got that elusive championship now, maybe next season you should just drive the Mustang or the Merc.
You know, funny enough, I did pull up an analysis. I did it with Mr. Fincher. We compared some of the cars together. I didn't touch the Ferrari, the Lambo, or the Audi because I hate them, but we found that there's definitely some advantages to certain cars, for sure.
There always is. There always is. But I mean, it takes the skill set to be able to extract, 100% out of it. And
Absolutely.
I think you've done nothing short of that this season. Um, Question for both of you guys, and we'll start with Chet first. Um, and there's no wrong answer. You're not going to offend anybody. We always ask this question. What's something you liked, disliked, and what's something you would change about the league?
Uh, uh, I don't know. I really like the length of the season and how just the getting the bye weeks felt like they were right at the right times to kind of give a nice little break, and it felt like a nice kind of sweet spot in the length of the season. I don't really have anything I dislike that I can think of per se. To be completely honest, nothing that's coming to the top of my head right now. And something I changed would be, I mean, uh, the bye weeks. I know, like we had the one bye week fall, like right. I think it was right before the 12 hours of Sebring. If there's a bye week close to one of those events, it'd be nice to have that bye week fall on the same week, so I don't gotta. I just completely winged it the night of for the race that week because I was so focused on Sebring. So if those kind of got shuffled a little bit to accommodate for those events that I know a lot of us partake in, that'd be really nice.
No, I'm throwing it out because Kyle Larson tried to do the Indy 500 and the Southern in the same day. So, no, that's a bad one. Give me another one.
Kyle Larson is a different beast than I am. There is a big difference in skill and athleticism between me and Kyle Larson. I assure you that.
Well, you at least got to be taller than him, right?
How tall is Kyle Larson?
He's probably only like 5'3".
Oh, I think I got him beat. I think I'm good there. Oh, he's like
I,
5'6". I'm good.
uh, well, that's taller than I thought. No, he's a short guy, I guess, but he is taller probably than Tyler Reddick. But anyways,
You're both
are you
champs.
looking? Yeah, are you looking forward to making the jump next season?
Oh yeah, big time. I'm excited to run GT3. When we did me and Jason and then one of our other buddies ran Sebring 12 hour. We ran GT3 for that, and I had a lot of fun in the car for that, and was really glad that I'm gonna be going up to GT3 next season because that after I drove the GT3 for Sebring, I kind of just didn't want to come back to the GT4. So the
Mm.
last few races, I kind of just hopped on like right before the race and winged it until Jason and Ian kind of closed up in the championship a little bit to me, and I had to start trying a little bit harder. But there was a couple weeks I just didn't put much effort in because I just wasn't feeling the GT4 anymore. So I'm excited to see where I'm at with the pace in GT3, hoping to compete a little bit in those, even though you guys are really quick. So.
So is this actually official? I mean, has it been announced yet that somebody's
He's
moving
one of
up
them. Wink, wink. He's one
to
of them.
pro?
He's wink,
One of
wink.
them. Wait a minute.
One
Wait.
of them.
Has this been made public anywhere? I haven't read it on any chat anywhere, unless I missed it.
Uh-oh. League knowledge.
What's going on? I didn't have the soundbite ready. The beep 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 breaking news. Beep 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 beep
Okay.
beep beep beep.
All right. You know what? We'll drop it here since I'm being pressured. So we're looking at the point standing. So this is how the season fared out. The top 10 in the GT3 Pro and GT4 AM, which calling you guys AM is a little disservice because I think you guys are all, don't it. There's often a negative annotation with that word, but you guys are definitely just as talented and skilled for sure. So since I've been strong armed into announcing it, so we went through as a team and looked at a multitude of factors and determined that 3 drivers will be moving up into the GT3 category from GT4. One being Chet, obviously. The next, Jason Geyer, and the third is flashy Ian Bakaitis. So those 3 will be
Flashy.
joining all the other gents who everybody else stayed as they were. So those 3 guys will be moving up. So it'll be a whole different experience.
Nice.
Congratulations to Chet.
For
Thank you.
sure. All right, your turn, Shay. What'd you like, disliked, and what would you change?
You know, I really, really liked actually the GT3 GT4 split. This is actually the first time I've done a league in a long time that introduced that split. Most of the leagues I do now are GT3 GTP split. And it worked out a lot better than I thought. There were some tracks that I was a little scared of, like Bathurst with this combo, but I mean, it worked out just fine. Um, as for things I, would like to see changed, I mean, the one thing that comes to mind has already been implemented. It was in race review and penalty, uh,
hmm
assessment. No bias on my end, of course.
Yeah, I think I know. I'm not gonna say what I think that stems from, but yeah, it's just something it's hard for just one guy to push that, but we
Yeah,
were
of
able to
course.
find a resource available to us that was open to it, and I think it's something that it's been coming for a long time. It's just how do we implement it? How do we get that extra resource available during the race? And how do we manage it in real time? So it'll be a little bit of an experiment. It's going to be new, I think, to everybody, whether it's whoever's determining what a penalty is and what maybe is just noted as a race incident. And
Right.
it'll be new for the drivers as well. So a little bit of an experiment, but I think overall it's wholly adopted by not only the drivers but the admin team as well, to be able to bring that additional I guess piece of the puzzle to league racing.
I'm excited to see it. As always, we really appreciate you guys for putting in all the work you do.
Thank you, appreciate you guys for being here. James, do you have any last
Well,
questions or thoughts,
kind of
words?
along that same line, looking at next season, there's still 3 endurance races, only 2 additional races than this season. So still we're not having a 25 race season. So 12 races. I'm not sure if you guys have looked at it. There's a lot of returning tracks, everybody's favorites, like Road Atlanta, Spa, Road America makes it back, Daytona, Sebring, Suzuka makes it back. A couple of new ones though, Hockenheim Ring, um, Silverstone Grand Prix, and then another one that I haven't seen us race yet is Barcelona. Do any of those 3 stick out in your brain? Chet, I'll let you ask you first since you'll be doing a GT3. Do you have any experience at those tracks? And what do you think? That'll be the last question.
I mean, really, the only track that I have any experience with the type like with this car in will be Sebring, really. So a lot of them are kind of just gonna be interesting to see how they go for me. I kind of taken a little bit of a break after the season ended, so I haven't checked any of them out yet. I've ran a couple in GT4 and I felt pretty good at a few of them, like Road America and Watkins Glen are some of my favorite tracks in GT4, but I don't know how they'll kind of shape up in GT3. But um, gonna be terrible at probably Mount Panorama again. That was not another race that I struggle at. I just somehow always put it in a wall around there. So I'm sure that's not gonna change with a car that just goes faster. So, but a lot of the tracks, like I said, I don't have much experience with, so I really don't know how to feel on them so far. So.
Right on. Shay, any of those new tracks stick out for you for next season?
Oh, I announced it in the Road Series chat. I would like to thank all of my fellow Midwest Motorsport roaders for voting Coda off and instead replacing it with Daytona. I'm proud of you all.
Wrong choice.
Nope,
You didn't have
that's
fun at Coda? That was
goat of the track.
so fun. What do you mean? I
I
like
loved
my
all the off
tires
tracks.
burning. I loved my tires burning off my car. It was
Hey,
so
I don't
Nothing
want
like
to.
fun.
I don't want to
Go
hear it.
ahead.
We didn't get Belle Isle, we didn't get Long Beach, we didn't get Brands. I could have made it like a lot harder for you guys to decide where to go,
Me-
where not to go. I felt like I felt very benevolent in putting that track list together. and letting I gave you guys more options than ever before. So
One
When do we
street
get
circuit,
the
the
3
whole
hours
season.
of Lime Rock?
hey, that was fun. Lime Rock's always fun.
It is.
So
Well, speaking of fun, man, you guys really made the season a lot of fun for everybody. Animating the race, you know, there was a lot of things, a lot from the broadcast point of view. Anyway, there's so much. It was nearly impossible for me and Adam to catch everything. Shout out to Adam Sondag. Sorry we didn't get him to join us too and get his perspective, but yeah, lots of great stuff happening on the road series, and you guys have played a big part in that. Now you get trophies beside your name in the Discord, bragging rights that nobody can take away. So congratulations on a great season to both of you, Shea McNeely and Chet Miller, champions from the road series. Congrats.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. I'll see you up in the front next year, Chet.
You're funny.
Nah,
Hopefully I'm
we're gonna
up
be.
there.
We'll be up there bump drafting. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm bump drafting everybody.
all right,
Awesome.
all right. Thank you, fellas.
Congratulations, guys.
Appreciate it. Congrats one last time, and think we'll give you guys your evenings back. So James and I are gonna move in. We have some kind of lull, I think, between some of the weeks when it comes to our oval side, because we've been like I said, kind of on a hiatus. But last week, trucks winner. We'll go in reverse. How's that sound, James? We'll go last week and then back the
Work our way
weeks
back up.
before. Yeah,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah.
So
man,
cursed Atlanta.
cursed. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the second time there's been an iRacing. Was it an iRacing update or just an iRacing fiasco that got us with the no lights at the old Atlanta?
So old Atlanta visually has light bulbs, but functionality wise, they don't actually work.
Right.
So the long story is, that track was scanned before iRacing had lighting features or something like that. So old Atlanta, the lights don't work. So that was last season. But
Frankly, it shouldn't even be an option if to run it at night if there's no lights, period.
you would think,
You know what I mean? That's iRacing's jam up,
yeah,
my opinion.
I agree 100%. And I don't know why the slides are a little off. I thought I had them pretty well, but we get a little zoomed in action. So, winner, the number 15, Eric Thaler, after I guess some odd things with New Atlanta, because even New Atlanta is still cursed. Did you get the backstory, James, on all the, I guess, extended pit times that were happening?
You know, I did. Um, I'm happy to listen to you if you want to explain it.
Yeah, so with the rescan of the track, they made the change to where your pit entry is actually like right before turn 3 down on the apron. So basically, you'll have the orange commitment, I guess, box, that you have to be to the left of to enter the pits. The speed, pit lane speed, still starts pretty much right where the front stretch wall is there, like right as soon as you enter the pits. And for when a caution is thrown, if the leader does not catch the pace car and I don't know where the detection zone is, but if a leader does not catch the pace car when it comes out, the pits will stay closed basically for the entire length. So what was happening was if you were the lead car or truck, I should say, if you're the lead truck, if you didn't catch up to the pace car, by the time you did, once you cross the start finish or your 2 to go messaging, basically the iRacing information box would flash pit lane open and then it'd immediately go back to pit lane closed. So there was a huge debacle. Basically, if you were going to pit under caution, since nobody really knew what the heck was happening, you basically had to serve a 40-second stop and hold penalty if you were getting service. So Um, by the time, the first one, we thought something was weird or not having or something. And then, but the problem was some drivers had already pit and would have served a 40-second hold. And then, by the time it come out, it, wasn't fair to basically say, oh, well, from this point forward, we'll just go ahead and clear everybody's penalties if you pit, you know what I mean? So we felt the best decision was to just, if you're going to pit under caution, which mostly everybody would, to just to keep that to even the playing field. It wasn't anything about who was in this position when or whatever. It was so we did testing before the cup race
Okay.
on Sunday, and that's how we were able to determine, like, there's some distance depending on when the leader catches the pace car. It activates basically the pit lane being open, and we luckily did not have that issue. So we put forth the testing just to figure it out. That way we could explain it to all the cup drivers moving forward. But on from that, yeah,
But
Eric
hang on, hang on.
Taylor. Oh,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
say, just on that point, thanks for explaining to it. I'm still a little bit confused. I mean, I get it because of the cup race, but really, at the end of the day, from the outside looking in, again, the broadcast, I don't even have iRacing to load up on a PC, much less a rig or wheelbase to drive from. So,
Mhm.
from the outside looking in completely, sometimes scenarios happen in races, whether it's some clown decides to climb up the fence and drink a beer with all his buddies at Phoenix, or they have to throw a yellow for safety, or
Steal the pace
the
car.
banner falls off, or the what?
Steal the pace car.
Yeah, or so yeah, Talladega they do steal the pace car, or Juan Pablo running into the jet dryer. I know that was under caution, but still, there are curveballs that get thrown at you. The race control has to make a decision and go with it. It's just part of the race. After the race, it makes history or whatever. But there are certain scenarios that you just can't prepare for, and you have to be able to adjust on your toes and go with it. So as I saw some chats going back and forth, and everybody's valid in their arguments because they're their own. It's okay for them to own it, but at the end of the day, you have to make a decision and go with it. That's just part of it. That was part of what made that race special that season. Remember when? We can talk about Atlanta without lights. Remember when we had to make a game time decision? Did that screw some people over? Probably, but it made that event unique. So, I just in the moment, at the heat of the moment, I can understand everybody's frustration.
Sure,
But
certainly.
again, we're doing the best we can. And, I want to give a big shout out to Jesse Coffee for kind of having somebody there with me to bail me out. Man, it was great to have Jesse in the booth. I see you in the chat, Jesse. What's up? Thanks
He
again for
was
joining me
probably he
fighting that in
was
the
probably
truck.
like he was probably like, wait, is this really what it's all about? You get penalties every time you pit?
Oh, dude, there was so much stuff. He was
He was
drinking from
great. I
a,
listened to it. He was great.
yeah, I
He
thought
did
so too,
good.
man. I think I
He did
talked
good.
too much. I should have given him the mic a little bit more, but he was drinking from a fire hose that night. So,
Oh yeah.
um, he did great. Um,
He did.
so then we kept going racing,
Yep. Yep. That's
So,
all we can do in that moment, I guess.
right. That's my 2 cents. All right. I'll let you get back to as you were, Justin. Thanks for letting me rant.
Yeah, so Eric brought home the win. I think it was kind of a really hard fought battle from second back, really. I think I got second. Did I get second? I think I was second, and then who finished third? I don't really recall. Every time we have a race, it's like I almost forget about that once we have another race. So,
Yep.
um,
It's in there. It's the very last one. Sorry, 1 second. If I can scroll down.
was it was it was it Brandon Cotton or did
Um,
or
you were second.
Dustin?
Eric won, and
Dustin?
then
Dustin or Cotton, right?
no,
Third.
Nicholas Aslan.
Oh, former
Nick Aslan.
champion. Yeah,
Yeah.
the road guy. Look at
Yep.
that. The road guy getting a P3 on an oval.
The road
That's
champ.
wild.
That's right. Oh, yeah, he's had a couple of podiums. So
Yeah.
He's a contender, man.
Oh
And I
yeah.
thought it was really cool that John Aston was right there with him too.
Mhm.
He was able to stay on the lead lap through all the fiasco stuff, and you know, Atlanta's now a drafting track, so I thought John Aston did really good to hold his spot, not try to get up in the mix and fight for a win. Although he could have, he was fast, but he was take it as a learning experience and wanted to complete all the laps. And so, good on you, John Aston, in the 25. I think that's one of his best finishes.
Nice. Very good. And the week before, we were
So that was
in
Atlanta.
the trucks. Twin Ring?
Yep, Motegi.
Okay. Who were our top three?
You put me on the spot again. I just sent you the thing. Dustin Reinstedel, Nicholas Aslan, and Ian Silva. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Motegi was pretty much green flags after the caution, after the comp caution. I
Yep.
think pretty, I think a small-ish truck count because I don't think a lot of people had the track. Maybe didn't want to spend money on buying the track. So I think there were like 15, 14 or 15
Yeah, there weren't
for
many. I
different.
think you're right if I
So
recall. Yeah.
so that also
Um,
led to green flag racing. But Motegi is a fun track.
it's interesting. I didn't really care for the truck there, but
Yeah.
and then throwback to
Darlington.
Darlington. That was a fun race for myself. I felt like I had some good speed there, but Robert Sanders brought home the win, followed by Ian Silva, which, man, it's got to be.
On the
I mean,
pole.
he's so quick, getting pole after pole after pole. So it was really good to see him, put together that race. And those two guys, I think, were the guys to beat all night long at Darlington. The only thing I can remember is how fast they were when the tires were starting to wear out real bad. Because I led some laps. I ran out front for quite a bit, but once my tires started to go bye bye, those two were just off to another zip code.
Adios. I
Yeah,
got to
so it
say
was good
that's
to see.
Robert Sanders' third win in a row.
Yeah, yeah, I
That
remember
one.
that
So
being,
good on him.
s- good to move to truck points. Well, I'll go over the top 10.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, Pretty big lead with 2 races to go.
73. I don't think there's enough bonus points to lose or
Yeah.
dropouts, drop races. I think
Mhm.
those are in play now. But
Yeah, they're in
Dustin
play already.
Reinstedel in the 11's got a stranglehold. Unless he doesn't show up the last 2 races and Ian Silva wins them both. Could be another championship. 4 wins on the season, on a 22 race season, to
Yeah.
for 4 wins to be the points leader says so much about his consistency. Um, of the 20 races, 17 of those are top tens. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot to say for that.
for sure, for sure. But I mean, it's a competitive field as well. There's always, some type of caution and things like that. We have our bad races as a collective group, I'll say, but the competition with the strategy and everything else, we've had a lot of different, front runners, throughout the weeks. So it's really tightening up. It's not a blowout completely, but somebody can't just cruise, the last say 7 races or third of the schedule all the way. So a lot of good fighting there. From 4th to 6th is
Yep.
to really actually 7th, 8th, you know what I mean? So like all down through, all those final even for second, I mean, you have a 29-point difference. That could be the difference
Yep.
in finishing last or in Nick getting a win one week. So there could be quite a bit of shuffling still, I think, going on there, but pretty good mix of manufacturers up there too. Different Toyotas, Chevys,
Yeah.
and Fords. Pretty well
You know,
balanced.
6th place in the championship pays the same as first place. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
everything is. There's so many good trucks, man. Everybody's driving their butts off, man. It is awesome. I swear, it's just like watching the real thing. Um, I'm just lucky. I consider it a privilege to call such great racing, man, because really, when there are incidents, it's just from good, hard racing that the incident happens, and the races are won and lost by real decisions made in real time for whether that's tire wear or missing a pit stop or taking two instead of four or taking four instead of two or there's
Yeah.
been so many different ways to win the race and there's so many different ways to lose the race all season long, and we still have two races left, two races in an off week, so
Yep. So, yeah, those are your top 10 in the truck series. We'll move on to, I guess, let's do the same thing. We'll go Atlanta and then backwards for the Cup.
right on. I figured you want to talk
Oh,
about Atlanta first.
eh. Um, yeah, I was able to get help from the brother. There in the last couple laps. Bringing home the victory. At Atlanta. So that was a good one. It was a kind of a hectic race for a while. I got through the pit cycles. There was a certain 73 that I kept telling him on once you come out of
Yeah,
the pits, I'm like, dude, you can go faster. Hurry up. Like, we're going to lose these guys. And eventually that happened on one of them. So I thought at that point it was going to be a little tough. But, man, a lot of shuffling around. Tons of shuffling. I mean, it was almost like a real Atlanta race. Like when they
it
first did
was.
the when they first did the repave, it was 30 lead changes, and you had comers and you had goers all day long. And people complain about Atlanta being a drafting track, but I think in the real world of NASCAR, it does bring the entertainment value. Personally,
It's so hard to draft in Atlanta and get it right because there's
yeah.
really only one place you can bump and know that they're not going to wreck, but you have to time the contact coming off of two, and it's so hard to get right up on somebody because if you
Hmm.
get them a little bit too early, then you're punting them coming off the corner, and if you don't quite make it, then you're pushing them, bumping them into turn three, which they don't want either, or hooking up. But I swear I saw the 5 and the 81. Full credit to them. They were pushing. I don't know why the inside lane seemed to hold more energy. I've seen, and Michael mentioned this on the stream. Thanks, Michael Harris, for joining me on Sunday at Atlanta. That the outside lane just didn't seem to be able to maintain the momentum that it got. It would get momentum and then it would just kind of fizzle out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I spent a little bit of time up in that upper lane. Um, I think the hardest thing at Atlanta is it's like if it's almost like if like Bristol and like Daytona had a baby, because it's almost like a bull
Yeah,
ring drafting track.
yeah.
Um, the corners are tight. It's hard to if you have somebody on your outside and you're running the bottom, it's kind of you really gotta. I think there more than anywhere else, your Daytona, your Talladega, places like that. Um, More than anywhere, you really have to focus on not washing up. Coming through the quad oval. Um, if you kind of cut the entry a little bit, your car just wants to naturally just wash all the way out, to the outside lane. So it's hard to make sure that if you cut that little bit coming into the front stretch, that you don't wash out too much and door somebody or lose control. It's super bumpy there. So in the runs in the cup car were just super weird. Like you would coming down the back stretch, you would suck to somebody on the entry of three. Um,
Mm.
so it was really difficult to time if you were trying to push people because like you would have to literally come out of the throttle, if you were in traffic, just to not just completely run up the backside of somebody going into um
3.
And I mean, into 1 was kind of the same way, but into 3, I felt like it was stronger for some reason. But a lot of shuffling around, there's some field strategy. I know a bunch of guys stayed out longer than I
Yeah.
did on pretty much every stop. Luckily, we didn't have any issues with the pitting, so that was good. We figured it out. We might have broken the curse. I'm not convinced of that just yet, but what'd you see? I mean, it was action packed from my point of view. Um, what would you, I guess, see up there in the booth, you and Michael?
Yeah, well, coming down to it, I mean, there's only 2 races left after this one, and the championship. I'm sure we'll talk about the standings in a couple of seconds, but and I don't want to harp on it, but man, um, there were 2 significant, maybe even 3 teams working together. The first stint, even before and after the comp caution, Brandon Thayer and Trevor McLaughlin were working together. I think they were just staying out of the mess, trying to go for a 0x maybe, or not worrying about it, but they were like 8 seconds back. Um, Later, Trevor got in the mix, which was great to see him lead a lap. But then there was like a Midwest Motorsports train with Eric, you, and Aaron and Dustin, and then the CCR guys, Brandon, Ty, and I think Sean's part of that group. I'm not 100% sure, but
Mhm.
they all look like, I mean, it was working. It was awesome to see it happening. That the level of competition was up. I mean, it's almost like they the CCR guys were working together and were waiting until the closing laps of the race to bring it, and they were just learning how to time it. And then Ty got caught up in a caution, not of his doing, and dropped farther to the back and had to work with the Ford, Jason Huffman, to get back in the lead group. Or maybe it was a yellow that brought them back together, but it was cool to see that play out and work. And so, I've never thought that at Daytona, Talladega, or anywhere that team racing really meant anything, but um, I've seen it a little bit in the real life, but to see it last night play out was pretty cool. That's the first time I've really seen it and had to call it, or got the pleasure of calling it. So I think it was awesome racing. Another aspect of oval racing that is very intriguing to me, and I think it's healthy.
Yeah,
So
it played out. It played out. So yeah,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
no, just to say that that final restart. I don't know if there was 8 to go or what,
Yeah,
but
something like that. Yeah.
it seemed like um, they kind of lagged back a little bit and let you, Eric, and Dustin get like almost a 2 or 3 second lead, while the 81 caught back up. And then when it was go time, Brandon Cotton and Sean Cunningham and they were right on you with like 3 or 4 to go. So it was race. It was on after that.
For sure. So, myself, Justin Taylor, um, coming back in first place. Eric pushed me to the win for those last like 10 to 8 laps. So Eric finished strong, led the most laps, helped me out for sure. So he was able to bring home P2. And then there at the end, it was hectic for third, and old Mr.
Oh yeah,
Holroyd. Aaron Holroyd in the 73, having another good run. I think he started the season really strong and then kind of phased out. He's kind of had just a string of bad luck, bad races, and it's good to see Aaron get back up towards the front, get on the podium, get interviewed. So
yeah,
that was good. And then week before we had, let's see, we had Twin Ring. So the top 3 there were Albert Williams, Brandon Cotton. I think he was on, yeah, he was on pole. And then I finished third. Was able to lead just a couple laps there. But I think, honestly, we were talking about, Twin Ring being it's a fun track. I think I liked it better in the Cup than I did the truck. The trucks just felt real different there compared to Cup car, but um, that was Twin Ring, and then before that we had Texas Motor Speedway. Do you remember anything about that race at all?
Oh, let me look back at the Cup Texas race. I was just looking at Motegi, and Ty killed it by like 4 seconds. Uh-oh. Ty, and then Huffman, and then Aaron. What did I miss? Oh, that was a drag race to the finish line.
Yeah, so I
Oh yeah,
believe if
Jason
I remember
Huffman.
right, it was
Yeah.
all about pitting, and it came down to pit strategy. I think Albert had a set left.
Yep.
I think Jason come out, he was leading, and I think he was right on the cusp of getting the win.
Ty ran him down like maybe 4 to 5 seconds.
Okay.
In like the last 7 or 8 laps, maybe 10 laps. But yeah, Ty had it figured out, and I'm not sure. Like you said, I think Ty had a new set his last 2 stints, and Jason had the double. It was on his second set for that
Mhm.
final stint or second run on that set of tires.
Yeah, but I remember that all came down to pit because we had a huge run of green flags.
Yeah,
Because I was up towards the front then, and then I took, I think I took a set of lefts, and then like a set of rights, or vice versa, I think.
took 2. Yep.
But I tried to offset them, so I wasn't taking all 4 at once, but it didn't quite work out because I know I had Aaron by quite a bit. He run me down as well. So honestly, when I went into that race, I hated it. Thought I was just gonna ride around and just finish where I finished, but turned out I had a little better, I guess, performance than what I was expecting. So, but that's a back to back. Those
Yeah.
2 weeks were all the 81. So 2 more wins. So that brings us to our points. So sitting in first place overall, Albert Williams. Myself 32 points behind, with a tight battle with Eric, only 2 points, and even Brandon Thayer with 24. So yeah, I mean, even here though, look how close a lot of these points are. I mean, one race could really shuffle around some stuff for everybody, I think, in the top 10.
Heck yeah. You were 2 or 3 points ahead of Eric coming into Atlanta, and now just 2 points ahead.
It's about the
So
same. Yeah,
y'all flip-flopped.
he got a couple more bonus points as well last night at Atlanta, because he got the
Gotcha.
points for leading the most laps. He had 81 laps led. So yeah, we'll see. Two races left, right? So 32's. I mean, that's hard to when a guy's up front, most of the time, or he's getting pole position, and you're leading laps there. So yeah, it'll be tough. Be tough. But he's got a lot of wins. I mean, that's like you said about Dustin, in the truck season, that consistency. There's something to say for that. If you can bag all those wins,
8
it's gonna pay
wins is
off.
a lot.
That's where you're gonna get your points, right? But yeah, I feel pretty good about being second, considering I've got like 3 or 4 maybe. So
Yep.
and not the number of top 5s and 10s that I would have hoped for, just because of the way weeks have panned out. Some weeks. So Brandon Thayer's having a great run. He's got the Watkins win, almost had a Martinsville win.
Yep.
Run strong. I mean, he's shown he can run really well. I mean, he had a good run at Indy too, if I remember right. And Aaron's doing well. And then too many Toyotas.
It's a lot.
Too many Toyotas. So but 2 races to go. We got Phoenix and then Auto Club. So Phoenix, hit or miss, and I think Auto Club's a really good, fun track and a good way to end the season there with all the different lines and everything else you can take. So it
You
should
better
be
come
a
prepared.
good end of the
Yep.
season.
You know how many tires you're going to have. You know what time of day it is. You know what the fuel load's like. So I have a plan coming into the race.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks for hosting tonight, Justin. I'm glad we did it. We've had a couple weeks off, so glad we caught up on the ovals, and I'm really glad we got to talk to the road guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think we've missed quite a bit, and like I said, we've got some things going on and everything else, so everybody's safe and all that good stuff. But like I said, sometimes life takes over, and we got to set some time and get the priorities straight for some stuff. But the racing doesn't stop whether that happens or not, and we're looking to close out a season. We're looking to close out 2 series, our trucks and our oval series, and we're looking to start another season of our road series. So um, if you're a member and you haven't been paying attention, make sure that you are paying attention to the Discord channel. I know some guys kind of go, radio silent towards the when a season ends, but our signups for our internal members are live, and those are pinned in the road series chat. So make sure, if you want to stick with us, want to race in season 9, you sign up, fill out that form to do so. So something we do every year. I've beaten the dead horse, but everybody has to do it. Everybody has to re-sign up, pick your number, your manufacturer, and all that other stuff, in order to continue to be a participant. But those will end on the 15th. So just over a week now, a week and 1 day. And then we're gonna start. We're gonna try and continue to bring in new members, do some recruitment, see if we can get those numbers back up. But it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to the end of both series, the trucks and the Cup series. Should be a good
Let's
one
go racing. Yeah, buddy.
for sure.
Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Want to close it out, Justin?
I don't know. I think I'd like you to do that.
All right. I hope it doesn't go too crazy on us. Hey, listen, thanks to everybody for joining us, for all the Midwest Motorsports admin that make this league great. I'm James J., reminding you to stay in your lane.